Hello, everybody. We are at the start of the production of the first series of our mental health awareness podcast, which we have called We're All a Bit Mental. Now, already it's come to our attention that some people may take offense to the title we have chosen. If that's you, or if it's something you're curious about, then we are making a complete bonus episode all about why we've chosen the name. And on that show, we're going to have two guests, someone that works in mental health and someone that works in advertising, marketing, branding. And we're going to discuss the matter in depth. But as an introduction to that, really, as we are posting this just as we launch, we wanted to just take a few minutes to talk about the name together amongst us on camera. Now, there were some boxes we needed to tick when we made this show. Along with weaving in music and humour, we wanted to poke our head up and we wanted to get noticed. Because the term mental health seems to have a stigma attached to it, and we want to try and change that. We thought a title that combined satire, honesty, truth, and the dreaded M word was what was needed. It wasn't done to cause offence. To get attention, yes, but not to cause offence. And the words we have chosen, we think, are very true, honest, and descriptive. And the real purpose of this title is a great way to start a conversation. So that is my first attempt at tackling this subject. Brandon, what do you say?
As I say again, we all have a mental health. And we've been trained and conditioned to, I think, in my experience, to assume, and we know that assumption is the wrong thing, let's assume that it's always going to be something not great. So, the fact of the matter is that if without talking about this and making that word something less maybe descriptive of we automatically, I think, and I'm not speaking for everyone here, but I think when you say the word mental, you look at illness or conditions or whatever. Whereas if we are able to see the light side of our stuff that goes on for us, especially, during COVID, and all of us have been through very traumatic experiences. But again, if we don't take out that seriousness, however, it is serious, but it's also something that we have to manage. If we don't manage our own mental health, we're not going to be able to manage lots of the other stuff that goes on around that subject. So, as you said, we don't mean it as a fun poking tool by any means. It's something we want to discuss. We want to make it easier to say it, in a domain where it's difficult to say it without not causing offence, but without maybe people taking it the wrong way, let's say. And as Lynn was saying earlier, she'll expand on it. It's about the language. It's about what we perceive as something. So, if you say mental, why does it have that immediate direction towards the negative? I think for me, this podcast was about making life easier to look at the subject, let's say. And so we're in a position to actually just share our experiences and talk about what we know about it. And that's why we're getting guests on who are, authorities in the subject. And maybe they can shed more light. But for me, that's what I, think at the moment.
Okay, thank you, Brandon. Which one of you two wants to jump in next?
Well, I'll go because I feel like Lynn's going to be the master of this one. My thoughts are, I understand where people might take that the wrong way, because I think I kind of go back to when I was in school, and kids would say, "You're mental, you are," and it obviously means, especially in England, I think it's not such a term here in the States. I don't think it's kind of seen in the same way, but it's kind of the same meaning as being a little bit crazy, or that their behaviour is a little extreme or illogical in some way. I think that's quite a good explanation of what that particular meaning of the word mental is. It's like a slang that comes from the schoolyard, I think, pretty much. So I understand how people, potentially will take that the wrong way from what we were originally, were trying to say. obviously we don't want to offend anyone, particularly when we're talking about mental health, because people could, it's a sensitive thing. For me, obviously, with the four of us, it really didn't come from anything but love. And it was just a bit of a kind of a jokey, fun title. What Brandon said about making it easier to talk about these issues, it kind of, that phrase itself did that for me. It kind of has a little bit of humor. So it didn't automatically come into my mind that we might actually come across some kind of pushback for the name of the podcast, because I only saw the humor, and of course I know it only comes from love, and we want to make it easier to talk about these issues, and kind of almost try and push away the taboo and actually talk about the deep stuff. Really get in there, and I think humor is probably the best way to do that,
Thank you, Ches. Over to you, Lyd.
Oh, I like you boys. You know what I was thinking when we were talking or just listening to you is I'm like, I get how people would be offended. Like if this was a show in the 80s called We're All a Bit Mental, and it was like a kind of version with It's a Knockout where celebrities wore funny headgear and battled through balloons, and Michaela Strachan scored you or whatever, and the title was We're All a Bit Mental, zany, then I would get it, because then it's like using mental out with the context of what it's sort of in the area of. I guess I'd go for this thing about the word. Does it bother you because it's being used as a noun rather than an adjective? Because if you find it like being, when you go into a hospital facility and they've got a wing that says mental health, do you like then lose your shit and go, how dare they? How dare they put that in the wall? Right? So then is it the word that bothers you or the context? Because just as I was listening, I'm thinking about words that offend me, and the words that offend me no matter how they're used. They offend me if they're written in formal paper. They offend me if they're called in the street. They offend me because what they suggest is offensive. I guess it's like saying we're all a bit internal organy. We're all a bit. I mean, would it bother you if he said we're all a bit brainy? So. Anyway, this brings me then to narrative, which is to look at the noun and what it means. In my house of a morning, if I say I've got an idea, my husband Mark goes, oh God, right? Now, the word idea isn't in itself a bad word, like you could have an idea health department, you could have stuff. But for him, idea means something else. Right? He's like, oh, there's going to be work in this.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So literally, it's like a reflex action. I've got an idea. He goes, oh, God. So what I'd ask you is that if you, like what we are setting out to do in this podcast is to gently suggest that we reconsider things that we believed to be set in stone, and to be open to other people's perspective, which I think after the events of the last, 12 months or so is a good place to be. And I think We're All a Bit Mental does that. Because if it bothers you, I would be interested in why. I would be interested in if you'd be up for discussion on that. I'd be interested in your point of view. I would be interested in connecting in order that we could discuss it. What I do know from narrative is that no enlightenment ever comes without challenge. So if you, like, for example, some of the most difficult arguments I've been in have led to the best understanding of things. So if it really bothers you, maybe this could be an opportunity for you to find out why.
It'd be nice to actually get people on that do have a negative connotations with it, and we can talk it through. I would love that.
Absolutely. So our email address, which will be on this, hello@weareallabitmental.com.
Hello.
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 Hello. Please communicate. Please send in. So at that point, I think we say our goodbyes. Thank you, everybody. We will catch up on the episodes. Let's pick up on this. Thanks for watching. Bye.